been a surfer for my whole life since I was 10 years old. Surfed professionally from 1975 to 1981. About 1980 I got into building surfboards. So I basically manufactured surfboards for almost 35 years. And when stand-up paddleboarding came around about 5 years ago, I was very intrigued with it as a sport for working out, socially, just a very fun, something different to do. And I had some friends ask me to build a stand-up paddleboard line for them, and it just kind of evolved from there. As stand-up paddleboard, the sport has started evolving, people started racing. Now, stand-up paddleboard racing is one of the fastest growing sports in the world on water. And that's where 3 years ago, I started doing displacement style designs, and we've been very successful with our one Nomad design, which is now kind of the model plane shape for about 4 of the different models we've made. I started thinking to myself, you know, with all my experience on the water with sailing and boating and race boats, I thought to myself, to build a faster stand-up paddleboard, I really should team up with a naval architect.
Brian came to me and he had a design for a roto-molded board that he wanted to produce. And he needed somebody to model the shape for him so that he could have it cut by a CNC mill. And as I was modeling the shape, I kept looking at it going, man, I think I could make this better.
We developed the Hovie Scout first, our roto-molded plastic board, but he saw all of a sudden he wanted to build a race board, and I was able to talk him into doing it. And we've built quite a reputation with the Hoviesup Comet. Right out the box, the first design was incredible. We made maybe about 5 to 6 slight modifications to it. And right now, I truly believe our board is the fastest board in the world, from flat to medium water.
You know, and any time you're sending something through the water, there's a trade-off between the amount of drag that object creates and the other factors that are needed to create the power to make it go through the water. So, for instance, stability. In the case of a stand-up paddleboard, you need a certain amount of stability in the board to allow the rider to put the power into the stroke. It contradicts the desire to have the lowest drag shape. So finding the balance between applying the power and removing the drag is the key.
Everybody has their own idea for a race board, but there's only 2 or 3 brands that have actually used a naval architect to design a board. Everybody else is still surfboard shaper, claiming they have the fastest race board.
So unlike a typical board shaper, for instance, that uses trial and error, we actually analyze the amount of drag that the body's going to create. So we'll use computational fluid dynamics and various drag models that are at our disposal to actually quantify, okay, this board produces this much drag, this many pounds of drag going through the flat water at this speed. And so we use a very a scientific and iterative approach to creating these shapes.
The bottom line is, if you're not riding a wave, why are you paddling a big paddleboard?
These aren't surfboards. They're really displacement hull forms that require a different dynamic or can benefit from a different type of shape. And that was really focused on trying to reduce pitching. A lot of energy is lost in pitching going through a chop, and so that, we knew right off the bat that we wanted to go with a wave piercing design for that.
It's not like a traditional board that goes up and down over waves. This board goes right through waves, and it loses no speed. It loses no drive. You can paddle this maybe 3 or 4 hard strokes, and you'll get about an 8 board length glide. That's where most of the boards out there will glide about 1 board length before it stops.
And then we wanted to try and separate the stability picture from the drag picture as much as possible, and that's when we came up with this sort of hybrid, 2-stage underbody.
What makes this board unique is it's very different. There's no other board that looks like it. People think it looks like an Olympic canoe or Olympic kayak. It's a very different looking board. Obviously, the faster the board is, the little harder it is going to be to paddle it, but the top paddlers will learn how to paddle it, and they'll go even faster.
We go out and we do time trials on the boards. We tow test them. We get them into various conditions and see how they react, and just make constant improvements in that way. And you know, it's nice to be able to go out there and paddle against some of the local guys and just have a faster board.
And I've got 2 or 3 of the fastest paddlers in the world that are paddling this board, racing this board, winning very big money races. Been out since the end of April, and we have 26 first place finishes so far this year, which is more than any other manufacturer can claim in the last 6 months.
Races are won by the highest average speed, not by something that attains the highest possible speed, but by attaining the highest average speed over a course. So the smallest things are what can make the difference.
They're made with 100% pure carbon fiber over an EPS foam core. We like to have the carbon fiber exposed on the bottom. We paint our rail and we paint our deck. We have our deck with 2 different deck colors, either split or solid. We're in that 21-pound weight for the 12.6 and about 22.5 to 23 pounds for our 14. We build a very high quality product at a very fair price that has put 10 times the amount of thought into the product before it was made as 90% of our competitors. We have a very brand identity board there with the Comet. So when someone sees that crossing the finish line first, they're saying, there goes the Hoviesup Comet.